So with that, how has how do you kind of relate to maybe using your intuition in your business? What has that looked like for you? Because I know for some of us women too, especially if we started out more type A, kind of ego driven, logic and all of that, intuition can initially feel kind of like elusive, hard to grab, hard to hold on to. So what's that experience been for you?
Yeah, it's been everything, Maria. Like being in your higher self awakening. I I think when I was younger, I had some spiritual gifts, and I ended up having some traumatic things happen when I was young where I totally shut off my intuition. I was afraid of it. I shut it off.
Yes.
And coming into your world and higher self awakening, I mean, now I've I feel safe. I feel safe
Mhm.
to tune in to my intuition. I've noticed myself opening back up to it, and it's not like, oh, it's scary that I thought before. I look now and I think it was scary before when I was so disconnected and I didn't feel like I had any control over, anything. And now I feel connected and I trust myself in making decisions. So I would say that's a huge one is just feeling safe and feeling that I can trust my decisions when
Yes.
I'm really tuning into my intuition. So,
So big.
right.
So
And
big.
in a business, there's always decisions like, is it this path or that path? And when you're so cut off from your intuition, like that's the scary part because it's just random, right?
Right.
And it doesn't feel random. It
Yes.
feels purposeful. And this is right. This is the right choice. I feel it.
Yes. And can you notice, like, it's so wild, but like, how before you feel more connected to your intuition, you can feel like we spend so much time overthinking something. Because it's like, oh, I don't know, because like, I'll say a business example, right? We both were in the same group mentorship program. Our mentor, he might say, you could do this, this, or this, let's say to launch or to put out your offer. And we spend all this energy like, okay, what's right? Is it A? Is it B? Is it C? And we can spend so much brain energy on that. And
Totally.
then when you start to begin to connect your intuition, you may begin to realize, okay, is it my mind that's going to make this choice? Or is my heart telling me something? Is there one of these launch styles, and I'm just using that as the example, that I feel really called to? That feels like, this would feel easy for me to like launch in this way and lean into this thing. That feels right. And that feels more intuitively led. And honestly, that decision then can make or break it, and it can be so much faster than like sitting up here in our head like over and overthinking it. Is this right? Should I be doing this? um have you noticed that shift as well?
100,000%. Like, totally. I also noticed, like, I've always heard people say, take aligned action,
Mhm.
take aligned action. And I'm an
Yes.
action taker and I like, work, 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 take action. And I just always felt like I was doing all the things. And was always like, I want to take aligned action, but I don't know what that is.
Yeah, like what does that
I'm just
mean?
doing all the actions. Like I'm just doing
Mhm.
everything and super burnt out. And now I actually know on a deep level what that means because it's starting to happen for me. I'm starting to slow down and tune into my intuition and getting those ideas when I'm calm,
Yes.
getting those ideas and saying, yes, that's what I'm going to do
And
versus,
Michelle, you've shared some fun wins with me since being in the container last fall, where I've loved it. You're like, Maria, I don't really know, but like all of a sudden I just got this idea, and I'm gonna contact this school, or I'm gonna put myself out there for this, or I'm gonna register for this thing. And there was just so much certainty in your voice, or you know what I mean, in the message that you were sharing with me of like this is where I feel like I'm being called to, and I'm gonna do it. And there you really did a beautiful job of like it's like you're on this journey where you were detaching. It's not like you were being like, well, I'm going to do this because this is going to make me $1 million and this has to be it. It was just like, no, I'm feeling called to do this and I'm going to see where this takes me. And I was like, that in and of itself is such a beautiful transformation to watch.
Totally. And just feeling trust in that. I feel trust and surrounded, that things are going to work out okay. Like I can trust that guidance and it's going to work out okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of women, for example, I appreciate you also sharing too, Michelle, that because that's for many of us, and I know that was part of my story. We maybe used our spiritual gifts or intuition. We were tuning into like energy as kids, and there was maybe a negative experience associated with that. And so as kids, right, it's like, ooh, that was kind of scary. That was kind of weird. And if you don't have anybody pouring into you, like helping you develop your intuition, well, as a kid, you're like, okay, well, that didn't go well. We're just going to shut that off. And you could try to, again, we were both in this group coaching program, and people were talking about how intuition is great. We should use our intuition. But if you have some kind of subconscious belief or some negative experience where that didn't work out for me, again, we can try to consciously say, oh, but I'm going to use my intuition, and there's a block.